Okay, so here we can import user utilities class user API. Okay, I think user utilities having user API. Okay, so we can create object of the user API. Okay, okay. Now using this user API object, I can call the create user account function. Okay, okay. Now, if you understand this create user account, it is returning something. Okay, what it will return? The post method, whatever it is returning, the response, the same response it will return. Okay, so now in my test case, what kind of validations I can perform? So can I store into a variable? Let's say response goes to something. This response here, I can do the assertions. Okay, so this is create user account. So can I use PyTest assertions here? PyTest assert response dot status code. There is a method called status code. It should be 201 when it is success. Okay, or else we can say user is not created successfully. Okay, so this is the way we can write the PyTest assertions, right? So in PyTest, file name, test case file name, and test class name, and test definition must be start with test. Then only it will be recognized as a PyTest test case. Okay. So here, once it is success, it should be 201 because we are using the post method. So it will create the new user. Okay. Clear? Now, how we can run this test case using PyTest? So we have to import PyTest. Import PyTest. Okay. And can we use PyTest marker to collect the test case? PyTest dot mark dot, can I say user? Assume that it is a user. Okay. So whenever I start executing this test case, from where it will start means, okay, first it will collect the test case. It will come from, it will execute create user account function. It will go inside create user account. Okay. So create user account function, what it is doing, it is again calling post API method along with URL and endpoint. Here you can say, right, and payload test data. Okay, payload test data. Clear? Now, once this function is executed, it will come inside post call. It will go in here. It will execute URL payload request method. Okay, post method. It will take URL payload and it will return the response. Okay. Once we have this response, it will return here. Based on this response, we can evaluate the details. Okay. Along with my data, I can convert this JSON into normal dictionary JSON. Okay, I can access the data. So now you guys already aware how we can validate our dictionary. So based on these values, we can validate. Okay, for example, what is my endpoint here? Let's see. This is the post method. Okay, once it is success, we can see the status code 201. So here we can see all this information. If it is success, we can get 1 second post method. Okay, so it will once it is success, we can see 201. If it is already existing one, we can see the response code 400. The messages email already exist. Okay, like this we can see. So let's run this one test case. We can see. Okay, how we can configure. Yes. Okay, let's configure our API test case using PyTest framework. How we can configure? Okay, see how many files we have, folders we have created: API object, helpers, test data, test folder, and utilities. Okay, these 5 folders we have created. Okay, now configure this test case with PyTest. You can go to the edit configuration. Okay, you can select plus symbol. From here you can select PyTest. Okay, so here the virtual environment you guys can select what existing one, whatever you have, and in the script section you can select the Python file what we have, Python API practice test file. Okay, this is the test file. Okay, now additional arguments, these are the PyTest command arguments, right? How we have marker test case name, based on that we can collect the test cases. Okay, I can use -m to collect the test case, and I can use -s to display the logs. Hyphen v verbose we can use. Okay, so these are the options we can use, and working directory it is under Python practice. Okay, so, okay, let's see. This is my environment for PyTest, so that if I run this one, it will execute the test case. Okay, now before running, I'm going to add some logs so that I can come to know. Okay, these are the test cases executing, and I can see the logs as well. Okay, so first I can add. Okay, here I'm going to use print statement for now. Okay, test execution is started. Okay, even I can have some special symbols so that it is visible. Okay, at the end, print test execution is completed. Now, after this function started test execution, first it will go to the create user account function. Okay, here I can write print create user account started. Ended. Now along this one, so first I can store this into variable response, something like this. I can print this response. Print response response. Okay, so that I can see the output. So if something went wrong, so I can easily understand and debug the test case. Okay, up to this from here. Okay, once it is go inside, it will call the API post method. Okay, so here what I'm going to do, I'm going to guys, even here also you guys can add the doc strings. Okay, see parameters, what are the parameters, return type, blah blah. Okay, now print. Okay, print post API is started. So I'm printing the URL. Why I'm printing? To understand from where it is executing and what it is taking, so that I can come to know if something went wrong. I can take a look. Okay, payload. Okay, if I print this one, does it make sense? Here, if I add the print statement, does it make sense? No, right? After return statement, it won't execute anything. Okay. Okay. So these are the logs I have added. Okay, if I run this one, I can see what are the logs and how it will execution flow. We can understand. Okay, let's clear. Let's run this program. Okay, test is failed. Okay, cool. So first it is started, test execution started, create user account is started, and it is started post API. This is the URL and this is the payload. Okay, the response. Sorry. So this is the response we can see 200 and create user account is ended. Okay, why it is failing? Because I have provided 201 and it is returning the 200 as a status code. Okay, so that is the reason it is failing. So we can make it as a 201. Sorry, 200. Okay, 200. Now if I run it again, what will happen? Okay, status code. Okay, user will consumer create user account. Okay, it should return. Okay, why it is failing? We are not returning create user. You can see it is not returning. So without returning, how it will do? Return response. Okay, let's run it again. Okay, now you can see this time test is passed with the status code 200. Okay, you can see the response payload. Okay, just we are printing a response. Okay, to see the response data, here you can see that only I'm printing response. If we want to see the response data, there is a method called response.text. Okay, there is a response.text method. So what it will do, it will display the response message. Okay, let's see. The test case is passed. This is the status code response. But here you can see response status code is 400. Message is bad request. Password parameter is missing in post request. Okay, seems like there is something we are missing. Okay, where is our test data? User object. Okay, is there any password field? No, it is having password field is not there. That is the reason it is failing. But actual test case is passing. If you guys understand, the API call is success. Okay, call is status code is 200, but the response message is 400. Okay, now I can add one more validation. Assert response. How we can access the dictionary keys? Can we do like this? User is created successfully. Not created. Okay. This is not user creation. This is endpoint and is not executed successfully. Okay, like this. Now here I can print the response. Before doing some validation, I can print the response. Let's see some special character. Okay, response. Let's run this time. Okay, Here you can select response. This is the response we are getting. Response code, request bad request, password parameter is missing. Okay. So here we need to understand what is the status code 400 means. The 400 series is the client error message. Okay. That we can discuss detail. Okay. Now let's modify the test data. Test data. Email name. Let's add password. Okay. Let me add it here. Password. MSN Python 1.23. Okay, so this is the password field I have added. Okay, now if I run this one, let's see. Okay, cool. Now first name parameter is missing. Okay, so you guys understand, right? There is a one more mistake. What is the mistake? Anyone can find? Here you can see that first name. The key itself is wrong. There is no space, first name, last name. Okay. For mobile number, we have space. There is no mobile number. Okay, we need to add it. Mobile number. Thanks. Okay, let's see. If we have any other missing parameters, we can come to know. Okay, this time. Okay, now you can see, right? It is having all the details, but what is the reason this time is failing? The email is already existing. Okay, because already we have used this test data. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a little change in my email. Auto. Okay, I have used auto. So this time it should create properly. Now you can see it is success. The status code is 200, response code is 201 because it is created. Okay, and the payload, you can see. So this is the way we can use automation framework to create the API testing along with PyTest. Okay, so in the next session we are going to discuss about how we can utilize other methods and how we can parameterize our test cases with API different test data suits, and the URL what we have here hard coded that we can get it in the features. Okay, so in the same test case we can simply write one more test case, get the user details, df test get user details. So what we need to do now, just by providing the email we can get it the, there is a function, right? Okay, get user by name, user details by name. Okay, this endpoint we can use. Okay, and even there is a verify login, right? There is a method called verify login. Verify login is the post method again. It required parameter called password. Okay, let's see. Test verify user login. Okay, so here the same thing we can implement. Okay, so create user account, post method, API endpoint. Okay, create account. Okay, verify login. Okay, so now here what I can do, df verify login function, I can write it login. Okay, now so it is also post method. Okay, it required only password, only required password. Okay. So in the response message, here we have email and password. Okay. Now we can see how we can hit this point. URL API object is verify login, and it is not required any test data, and we need request parameter. Okay. Payload none. Okay. Payload password. So we can create one more test data suit here. Verify login. Okay. So it required password. What is my password? Okay. Let's see how it goes. Now here self dot test data on verify login. Okay. Let's check it once manually how it will work. Without email password. Okay, it is required for success. Email and password is required. Okay. Email. Okay. Now let's run this test case. Create a test case. Okay. So here instead of test verify user login, verify login function, I'm calling 200 status code and response. You can see what it looks. Okay. Print response blah blah post method. Okay. It will return a create user account, verify user account ended. Okay. Let's run this one. So this time I'm going to provide the marker name user itself so that it will execute two test cases. Okay. But does not mark not user. Okay. So here I can make a little change. If it is already existing the user, we can throw the 400 status code. Okay. 400. Let's run this one. One test is passed, one is failed. Okay, cool. Response already email is existing. Okay. Use response code. Test user. Okay. Verify test user login. Okay. This is status code is 201 because the post method we are using. Okay. Here it is. Okay. Let's that is 200 connect, and this is the user is 200 status code. Okay, 200. Let's run. See, two test cases are passed. Okay, with details information. Here you can see that response code 200 user message user exists. Okay, what we are doing, verify login method. Okay, so this is the way we can use API, post and get methods. Okay, get method is used to retrieve the information, and post method we can use for create the new resource. Okay, so the folder structure we can follow like this for the API testing.